just weekend gamers? Do we have no point in the week when are you doing? I know every time I get at least 45 minutes, I'm thinking about gaming. If I'm not gaming myself, I mean, do we just shove everything aside?
Yeah, I do. This Saturday and Sunday, all I did was pretty much game. All weekday, I did nothing, like no gaming at all. So
I haven't gotten like the plan working yet, but I'm thinking that I'd take an hour after dinner or something to play the game. Mostly because anything else I'm going to be doing involves staring at the computer screen, and I'm already doing that all day.
yeah,
But otherwise, because I'm tired after dinner, and like I'm gonna try to get back to work, but I'm not going to be able to for an hour anyway. So it's like, hey, I'll go play a game for an hour. Not only is it something I want to do, take my mind off work, but I'll wake up and be able to actually go back to the book.
It makes a nice break in your schedule. It's a nice relief and whatnot.
Mm. But this also kind of brings me up the notion of maybe we should get paid for this sometimes. Because sometimes some parts of games are like really frustrating. It feels like work, and like you scheduled out your free time for this, and it's like yeah. So
it's difficult to find motivation, but I don't really think there's any way we could get paid for
no,
it.
no, that's just that would never happen. I mean, that would be. But I'm just saying, like, that's the feeling sometimes I have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like
but more of game selection than anything else, but
especially when you play those like really drawn out JRPGs, there's some moments when it's just like, oh my god.
Well, I should hope you know what you're getting into. I would think that if any game is like that these days, then you're going to see every review just rip into it.
Yeah, well, that's what pacing is all about. That's why they talk so much about pacing. Because
I still don't understand it.
All right, well, let's think here. I mean, we've been talking about JRPGs all the time, but every time we mention a more modern game like Uncharted 2 or something like that, it seems more designed for this kind of lifestyle we're talking about. It seems more broken up. It seems more action-packed, more concise. I mean, we're getting shorter and shorter experiences, but they're very punctuated with action and stuff like that. Do we think that's a trend that's going to... do we actually think that's a trend, and do we think it's going to expand, or is it just me?
It's definitely a trend. I wouldn't say it's the trend for certain genres, but it's definitely a trend for like shooters and even racing games now. Like Forza 3, you see how so many casual elements are built into that. It's definitely a trend that we see shorter breaks of gaming built into our experiences.
And aren't those the kinds of games we want now? Because
right.
If you don't have a lot of time to play it, then you want games that are kind of meant to be played for short periods of time.
Ironically enough, though, I still prefer like really intensive games.
Yeah, that's just that. I kind of suffer from that mentality too. I feel like I should be wanting shooters, but I really they're not to my taste at all.
Yeah, like
I have to wonder if I start like a 100-hour RPG now, and it takes me like half a year. It's like, am I really gonna want to be playing that game the whole time? Yeah. And sometimes, a lot of games suffer from 90% syndrome. For that similar thing, like I still have a Final Fantasy IX save that I haven't completed yet. It's at the final boss, and I'm the kind of guy that at least wants to complete most of the game.
Yeah.
And I stick myself here, 10% of the game left, because I can't dedicate that amount of time to finishing the rest of the game. And I have like all of these games just stagnating in like near completion because I want to do it all, and I know I just never can. So all of these games are just banished to this limbo of inactivity.
10%, because I'll top that with Xenogears. I got to the final dungeon, stopped, and beat it like 4 years later.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah, I still got games I haven't completed from 4 years. So yeah, I don't think this is a.
I was like, it was only like 2 or 3 hours from the end. Apparently, I thought it would be a lot longer. That's why I stopped.
But do you have like a back catalog of uncompleted games, Constantine? Do you have like on Steam?
I'm trying to think. I'm usually the type of gamer to finish what I start. So like I'm pretty unusual in that regard, because I feel like you mentioned 90% syndrome, but I feel like more average gamers, it's more like a 10% syndrome. But me, I don't.
And then they go to the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of games that I haven't completed. I haven't completed Sonic the Hedgehog for the PS3, but that's because it was awful.
It's different when it's like a bad game that you're like, well, I haven't enjoyed this half of the game. I'm not going to enjoy the other half.
No, I didn't even get to half. I got to like 15%. I was like, screw this shit. I'm done.
Sometimes. I tried playing Matt Hazard just to see how bad it was. So that goes down on my list of like games I could never finish.
I just have a ton of these like not terrible games, but nowhere near good games. Like they're stagnating in the middle here. Like I have a good dozen PS2 games that are just in the middle there, like B games. Like what is it, Gladiator Sword of Vengeance? Like games you never hear because they fall right into the pattern. They're not shovelware. They're not anything that you can actually do an ad for, and they're just so mediocre that it's just difficult to even try anymore.
Yeah, but does it count to say you have failed to finish a game when you picked up the game, like played it for 2 hours, and then decided never to play it again?
I don't know if that really counts, because like those games I don't even remember playing anymore. So I don't even remember if I actually played some of those games that I only played 2 hours of and quit.
True. You do the bad ones do tend to stick out though. You remember the bad and you remember the most good.
Definitely. You do remember the bad. God, I remember one now. Dead to Rights. I only got to like chapter 6 and then I quit because of you had to like disarm a bomb and I couldn't do it for the life of me.
It wasn't a bad game though.
No, it wasn't a bad game, but
I have the same problem with games that I find personally difficult. Like a game that I can't play because I can't get the controls because it's not my speciality. It's difficult to pick up and play again too. Like any shooter I attempt to play. That's not strategy shooter. I just can't do it. And I'm 2 hours in and I'm like, I'll do it again later. And I have games from PlayStation 1 that I said that, and I haven't come back to them.
Okay, I don't have that problem at least. I can get through Ninja Gaiden on hard mode. I can do anything.
That is impressive, but I think Quanstein and I are just complete neurotic messes that we just can't do anything. We have these like massive catalogs of games.
You like slower paced games, maybe?
Perhaps more labor intensive, I suppose. Not necessarily good with the reflexes, although I'm good at racing games. It's just a particular skill set that I don't have. That it's difficult to motivate beyond a certain point.
Speaking of racing, I haven't completed either Gran Turismo 3 or 4, but then completing those games seems like
it doesn't count for a racing game because it's like, I gotta do the same races another 50 times in reverse order.
Well, the thing is, I haven't even completed all the license tests for those games, so
no one has.
That's a good thing. Okay, that makes me feel good. It's insane. That game, like, so much content, and like, you'll never touch, like, 90% of it.
Well, I'll never touch 1% of it, actually, but
well,
that's me.
That's because you hate those kind of games, but it's alright. Everyone knows that.
I'm not, like, gonna get involved tuning every little aspect of my car. I just want to race.
You don't even get to tuning aspect until you finish some driver's test license thing.
Yeah, but why should I have to do all these tests? I just wanted to race.
Yeah, that's my point.
And I think that comes back to our basic point. We budget our time with the perception that we would just be playing the game, not necessarily trying to have to go through all this stuff.